Stereotypical path is you tell that to some 25-year-old who has no responsibilities. He says, cool, I'll bang this out. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. You were not 25 when you went to Kaiser.
Correct.
Right? Like you had 15 years of experience, maybe more. Talk to us about that experience, right? Because now it's different when you have responsibilities, you have a family. Like
yes.
You probably probably don't want to make 100 calls a day type of thing.
So yes, I mean, look, there's many, I think before, the financial thing, I was able to do it, right? Trading was good to me. I was able to do that. It doesn't mean it still doesn't hurt when it takes everything longer than you think, and it's you start to self-doubt.
I'll do it in 6 months because I'm smarter.
You
I'll
start
work
to
harder.
self-doubt, and again, trading after I don't think it was even 6 months. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm good at this. I'm going to figure this out. Brokerage, it took a while. I mean, it was 2 years before I closed my first deal. And part of that was a big condo deconversion, which took forever. But yes, there's self-doubt along the way. There's a huge dose of humility in it as a second career. I mean, I once upon a time was known by all in my pit for being, I was highly respected down there, and picked to be on committees for the Merc, and to going to be, let's go start calling people that don't know who the hell I am, and gets 10 calls a day. It's a big humility burger. And that was not easy. Whereas the younger kids don't seem to care, and those seem to be the good ones, and we have one in our off. Some of these kids come in and they're like, I want to cold call. And I'm sitting there like, what's wrong with you? Like, what is going through your head? But so, I'm not going to sit and bang out 100 cold calls a day like the 25-year-old. And so I realized I needed to have niche and make my name through niche and make my name through intelligence. Not that everybody's not smart, but there's some very successful brokers out there that aren't smart. They just work their ass off. My way to succeed is through dealing with the more complex and being more of I've got more years under my belt, and I can talk to people much different than a 25-year-old can. But yes, I mean, to go back to the attrition, it's tough. It is a high attrition business. I think a lot of it, I think there's a need for brokerage firms. I think it's very tough as a brokerage firm to do your hiring. Right? Everybody kind of wants to grow, so you need bodies. And there's only so many bodies to pick from, and it's only so easy to tell if this body is going to succeed.
It's a 2-year gamble.
And it's a 2-year gamble, and it's a cost to the brokerage firm. Like, each broker is expensive. I've talked at length with our COO about this, and the first time he told me, it kind of blew my mind. You've got a CoStar license. You've got a lot of stuff.
CoStar in itself is expensive. If that was only checked.
That's another podcast. But
CoStar will gladly accept your sponsorship.
Yeah.
We know you have the money.
I think hiring is a tricky thing, and I think some firms, I don't think as much anymore, but I think some firms used to just be like, let's just hire and let the attrition happen and hire 20 people, and we know that 2 are going to make it. And I think that's kind of a disservice to those that you are hiring. But it's a tricky thing. And
there's a huge cost to that too, though.
There's a huge cost. I think there was less cost before when the business was less subscription based, and from what I hear of Lee back in, when he started, it was, go walk around. There was no CoStar. There was no way to just go online and get stuff. So I think it was less expensive to hire somebody, but there's probably a lot of people that have been hired that shouldn't have been in every company. It's something that Kaiser Group has worked very hard on let's be very careful about who we hire. And don't waste our time and don't waste theirs. And frankly, in the last 3 years, I would say that our attrition rate has been much better than it was in the past.
Yep.
Well, I think it makes it more of a milestone for somebody researching, like, hey, they only hire so many people. So now you actually find the people that have harder drive that actually want to be part of that, because they know that there's limited options for people to become part of that. So that's kind of, it's kind of cool.
If I was in that seat interviewing and I saw everyone there has been there 5 years or more or whatever, then that would be like okay, here we go, right? Like that would be a huge turn on for me.
But you know what? Most 25-year-olds don't think
Correct.
that way,
And
they're not mature enough to know that. But you know, look,
what's my split?
Right, questions like that. But it is fun when you see somebody come in and you know that they're going to work, that it's going to work out. And then you try and extrapolate into your hiring of the next one of like, all right, what qualities did that person have? And you know, you learn from your mistakes. I hired an analyst in 2019, and he was straight out of college, and he was gung-ho, and he wanted a call. And what I really needed was an analyst, because I had like a lot of stuff in my pipeline, and I was spending every waking hour at home at night underwriting everything, which I actually still think every broker should do, because then you really know what you're looking at. But I hire this kid, and all he wanted to do is cold call. You know, he had told us that he was good at Excel. And I hope he's not listening to this, and I'm not meaning to talk trash, but he wasn't really good at Excel. And so I had to undo a lot of damage in there and missed some, but he was so gung-ho, but he was a bull in a china shop. Yeah. And, you know, did some damage along with some good, and then COVID happened and he left. But you start to learn, you learn from like, all right, hey, I need an analyst. I hired a junior broker instead, which I didn't really need, and then it didn't work out. So like, yeah, he wasn't the right fit for it, but it was as much my fault as it was his fault for not recognizing, like, you know, this kid wants to go crazy on the phones. That's awesome. He should be going the brokerage track, not starting the analyst track. So I kind of feel like I did him a disservice in that regard.